Thanks for joining us. The Washington State PASS team has put a series of videos together to help migrant students learn the essential writing skills needed to complete their PASS courses. In this video, we'll discover tips for the correct use of I versus me. Let's get started. In the Grammar 1 and Grammar 2 videos, why is there a specific focus on the two pronouns I versus me and the two verbs seen versus saw?
We're going to look at I versus me and seen versus saw, two pronouns and verbs that are misused so often that they've begun to sound correct.
Makes sense. Another question, won't the computer software catch common grammar mistakes like these?
Even though we have programs that identify incorrect grammar, punctuation, and other issues, they don't begin to cover or catch most of the problems.
Wow, you have my attention. For this video, will you share more about the proper use of the pronouns I versus me?
So I have been out of high school now for 50 years, but I still use pointers for my students that were taught to me by my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Hole. She was probably the best teacher in my 13 years, K-12 in Sunnyside, Washington, to teach that grammar and punctuation and really drill it into us how to do things correctly. And she gave us all kinds of rules and tips to help us remember. So the first one here is I versus me, and the example I've given you is my friends and I love school. That is correct. And the second sentence there is my friends and me love school. So Mrs. Hole taught us when we are confronted with a compound subject, which in this case is my friends and me, the way to test it to see if it's correct is simply to remove the first part or the compound part and reduce it down to me, and then say it to yourself, me love school. And at that point, it doesn't sound right. So you know that it has to be I. So the second or the third bullet there, me and my friends love school, this is the most common way I see it misused. Me and my friends. The sentence has this compound subject, and so that you're going to use the same rule that Mrs. Hole gave me. Take out and my friends, reduce it down to me. Again, it's me love school, and that is not correct. Okay, so the trick is, like I said, shorten up that compound subject, test it out, and see which one works. Okay. Remember, if you say me love school, you are saying that me is taking the action, and this is not correct. So that rule is that I always takes the action or gives the action. So I love, there's the verb, and me always receives the action. Me will always follow the verb.
Those were helpful tips for the misuse and proper use of I versus me. Can you share another example?
A common use of I versus me is, can you take a picture of my friends and I? I hear this all the time, not only with students, but teachers who should know better. So again, you've got to remember that I always gives the action. And in this case, I is receiving the action of having the picture taken. So it should be, can you take a picture of my friends and me? Okay, when in doubt, restate the sentence to read the examples as I've done here on the right. Can you take a picture of I, where you're removing the compound my friends and then say, can you take a picture of me? That one is correct. Know your prepositions. I have my students go to Google, type in common prepositions, and list after list will come up. If students know their prepositions, it will help them to do this correctly, because me will always be an object of a preposition. And in this case, of is a preposition and of me. Me is the object of the preposition. I will never be an object of a preposition. So right off the bat, if you know that's a preposition, you know immediately that this is incorrect. So that's where knowing those prepositions is really important. So I highly recommend come up with a list, keep it with, so that when they're checking their work, they can know immediately that because this is a preposition, that this can't be right.
The Washington State PASS team thanks you for your time, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel with other videos that contain helpful writing tips.